सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। We are in the second valli, 23rd mantra. Repeat after me. नायमात्मा प्रवचनेन लभ्यः न मेधया न बहुना श्रुतेन यमेवैष वृणुते यमेवैष वृणुते तेन लभ्यः तस्यैष आत्मा विवृणुते तनुं स्वाम्। न अयम् आत्मा प्रवचनेन लभ्यः न बहुना श्रुतेन न मेधया. All these would be considered as an externality only if the intellectual capacity, the ability to absorb the subtleties through Shravana, and to be very conscious of what kind of satsanga or pravachana that you listen to. Now, along with this, there has to be the intensity of sadhana chatushtaya in the individual, that kind of intensity with which they bring that shraddha, they bring that complete fortitude and complete trust in Shruti, Guru and Ishvara, and finally in one's own self. That intensity, if it is not there and it is just the listening and have an amazing intellectual capacity, it's all gone down the drain. It becomes a waste. Yam eva esha vrunute. The one who intensely chooses this and this alone as the priority, to that individual, the Atma Chaitanya Vivrunute, it chooses, because the intuitiveness, it triggers in. The Atma Chaitanya is readily waiting to reveal itself because it was never hidden. But I have to intensely choose that as a priority. Presently, my priorities are several things, and one among the list is this Adhyatma also. Adhyatma is not a time pass. Adhyatma is not a feather in your cap. Adhyatma is not that you claim egotistically that the Adhyatma now has changed your life. Those are not the purposes of Adhyatma. Vyavahara is to become a hero, get into the limelight. Adhyatma is to get to that zero. But if the Adhyatma is used to become a hero and a publicity stunt, whether it is in the outer world or the publicity that I now know so much, I have studied so much, I have done this much of sadhana, sadhana is supposed to be, that is why the rishis, they used to say, your sadhana must be a secret. Why? So that the ego does not have the room to boast about. It should become so your second nature that there is no room for that boastfulness. हर कोई हर रोज खाना खाता है, उसके बाद में डींगे थोड़ी ना खाता है, पता है आज मैंने 4 रोटी खाए. That is required. Similarly should be the Adhyatma. But then, if the Adhyatma is not seen for what it is, and the actual steps are not taken, and the Atma Chaitanya is not become the priority, then we are just fooling ourselves. What should be the steps of priority then? Then in the next mantra it is said, very straightforward. And yet people say spirituality in Hinduism is the most difficult to comprehend. Page number 142, 24th mantra. Repeat after. Na virato duscharitat, na shanto na samahitah, na shantamanaso vapi, prajnanenainamapnuyat. This prajnana, knowledge, which certainly brings in the Atma Sakshatkara, will not be happening for those who have not taken the preliminary priorities in place. What are they? Na avirataha avirataha duscharitat, na ashantah, na asamahitah, na shantamanasaha vapi. Na ashantamanasaha vapi. Na avirataha duscharitat. First and foremost, all the negativities that we live in, we exist in, that has to be removed. That has to be consciously worked at. And that should reflect in our thought, word and deed, in our vyavahara. That there is absolutely no scope, no room left for any kind of duscharita. We pick one or two and we say, I am not that bad. The confidence should be that I am not bad. Done. Never in thought, never in word, never in deed. All different kinds of hatred, jealousy, comparisons, anxiety, agitations, frustrations, all this one has to diligently work, leaving no scope for that mind of ours to get into those patterns of existence. How consciously have we worked on these layers of vasana to scrub them out of our very being? That diligence, if it is not there, no amount of, because many of us think, if I do enough puja, if I do enough japa, if I go to enough satsanga, all of this will wipe that out. It's a reverse Baba process. There has to be that diligent effort to remove that negative format of expressions. If that is not done, see, there is double negations here. Avirataha na. If that is not done, then the next step, na ashantaha. If the organs of perception and action are not quietened, the itch to go out and pursue, and there is a huge factor which is often recognized with the acronym FOMO, fear of missing out. पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है. If two or three people are congregating and बेचैनी बढ़ जाती है. क्या 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 बात कर रहे हो? Oh, what are you talking? Nobody is inviting you. They have every right to kusur pusur. नहीं मुझे मालूम. And then the insecurity immediately jumps 0 to 1000. Speed उसका बहुत बढ़िया है. I know they must be talking about me only, but you are the center of the universe. That they have nothing else to talk about. See, the inquisitiveness to know more should be with regards to the Shastra Vichara, should be with regards to my Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya in both sense. How consciously observant am I in every aspect of my life? How continuously I dedicate a very good portion of my 24 hours in Shastra Vichara. There should be FOMO, fear of missing out. Why? Very rarely comes this opportunity of this human life with good intellect, good opportunity that is being presented. How best can I use? The organs are ashanta. The cravings, the itch of cravings is on the tip of those organs. And when we subtly observe it, every silly little thing we are addicted to. I'm very consciously using the word addiction. That which is a vice is an addiction, yes. That which is not declared as a vice, we are still addicted to it. Coffee से लेके company तक, everything is addicted. The organs should be worked at to lose that itch. Wherein you have consciously seen, gone through the experience, whatever life has unfolded, through which I have seen and seen through that which I am seeking, that which I am eagerly waiting for, is not available in the Vishaya Vastu. Therefore, with that wisdom, I have withdrawn. The organs of perception action should be put to rest. The itch has to be washed away. Na asamahitah. Neither has there been any kind of balanced approach because the mind is not balanced. The intellect is not balanced. If the mind is not balanced, constantly fidgety in nature, constantly agitated, constantly into anxieties, anything and everything can disturb. Something which is can disturb, something which is not can disturb. There is no sense of freedom, therefore there is no sense of fearlessness. Na asamahitah. Then, na ashantavanaso vapi. The mind has not created that sanctuary of peace within. Earlier, asamahitah, there is no balance. Here, there is no sense of peace. It is fragmented, shattered, broken into pieces. It is not 100% available because there is no solidification of that antakarana. Come what may, whatever be the brutality of the experience, standing firm in that quietude within, the attitude would be, I can take on anything. It is not just confidence in oneself, it is also confidence in Bhagavan, Ishvara, and the play of this samsara. He is taking care, I am protected. There is that immense sense of peace. In Rudram, the first Anuvaka describes Bhagavan Rudra in the most ferocious manner. When I started reading through, researching into the meaning of it, I said, usually when you do the dhyana shloka, beginning is the dhyana, why is this a ferocious form, terrifying form? Then in the second Anuvaka is when you understand that was the perspective of the jiva who is ridden with guilt, who is ridden with anxiety, who is ridden with so much of, the asamahita manasa, that he perceives that Bhagavan is like that. Red matted hair, red eyes. The bow, the string is pulled all the way to the ear with the arrow in it. Then when he gets closer, he understands, oh, Bhagavan is actually not aiming it at me. It is only out of my guilt that I am thinking that he is aiming it at me. He has actually picked it up to protect me from the outside. I have a very good sadhaka. He lives somewhere around in Nainital. Met him 2-3 times. So when somebody asked him, he worships Mahakal. So somebody asked him, Swamiji, this Mahakali Rupa itself is so terrifying. How do you reconcile with it? I am a child sitting in the lap of that mother. The others who may want to trouble me should be terrified with her. Not me who is sitting in her lap. See, that is why even when the child wants to go into the darkness, Mama, can you hold my hand? Take me to that. From there, they'll gradually grow. Saying, Mama is standing here. You go. Can you keep calling my name? No, you keep calling my name. I am here. And then the confidence comes. Mama is there. बचपन में the child who has to walk through the street, and if there are bullies, and the child looks into their eyes and says, "Do you know who my brother is? Do you know who my..." The sense of immense protection, security. And who is our unchanging, always present, secure giver, security giver? Is that Bhagavan? Is that Ishvara? Thoda sa in life there is some kind of ups and downs. Our confidence or our faith in Bhagavan is such that it goes to question: is there Bhagavan? Unnada, asal unnada. Is he there? If that is the kind of confidence in Bhagavan, our bhakti is not established. Therefore, there is no peace within. Without that peace within, without that focused mind, I cannot get into the realms, the threshold. I cannot step in. I am barring myself from stepping into the field of spirituality because I have not selected it as a priority. If I have selected it as a priority, then I will make the necessary changes. When you apply for a job, they say, will you work out of a different place? Where? Wherever it is. I said, yes, you get this confirmation. Then you try to make all arrangements possible so that you are qualified enough to work there. Isn't it? When you are hungry, what do? Preferably, you get back home. If that is not a possibility, then you put all the effort to see a good place where you will have a confidence that it is a good food available. Whatever is your definition of that good food, you evaluate, you prepare yourself for it. When you are doing a long distance travel, in India you don't have to do much of, because every nook and corner there is always a good place for food. There's always. वो अमेरिका वगैरह में तो वेजिटेरियन फूड मिलना मुश्किल है. At least now it has changed. People have come to the level of veganism and all that. Earlier, though, if you go ask for vegetarian food, they look at you top down. What do you survive on, they ask. That was not an option. So you have to plan for it. So that when you reach to that particular place, when you are traveling, there should be something available so that you have to prepare. Adhyatma is not like chalte chalte kuch mistake ho gaya. Where is that effort to quieten that mind? And then step into the field of spirituality. The other steps prior to this are in preparation to enter in. Many of us define that preparatory step itself as spirituality and stop there. And then claim, my definition of spirituality is do good, be good, I'm fine. And good for you. May not be in this life, BLNL. Better luck next life, not this life. Why? Because that is not the priority. If this has to be the priority, then the withdrawal from all that which even I understand, it unsettles me because I am stepping into the adharmic way of lifestyle. Anything that can create those agitations, those miserable moments within. Why? Because the organs of perception and action have on the tip the itch of that eczema, and the mind is not settled in. There is no focus, and the mind is not settled in inside in its own peaceful nature. Without all of this, we step in because we can read. There are enough translations. There is enough PDFs available that you can read on your different sizes of tablets. हमने भी पढ़ लिया स्पिरिचुअलिटी, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला. See, even Adi Shankaracharya ji, when he is describing in Viveka Chudamani the preparatory steps, he says, Baba, this is a very rare opportunity to be born as a human. So he says, Jantunam narajanma durlabhamataha pumstvam tato viprata tasmat vaidika dharma marga parata vidvatvam asmat param. There is a sequential order he has given. You're born as a human being, Jantunam narajanma durlabham. Therefore, first invoke that humaneness and live in that humane mindset. Pumsvam, then viprata. Enable yourself with vidya, knowledge. Then live the dharmic way of identity that you create of a dharmic person who lives every walk of life in a very dharmic order. That dharma which is clearly explained, Vaidika dharma marga parata, explained in the Veda. Then comes, after having lived, tasmat Vaidika dharma marga parata, vidvatvam asmat param, get the expertise. Vidvatvam. Then atmanatma vivechanam. Then you get into the atma anatma vivechana because of shravana manana nididhyasana. Then establish yourself into that svanubhava. Having given that as the very second shloka after invocation, that this is the steps that one has to prioritize in life. Earlier days, when there was no GPS, people would take printout of maps. Map reading itself was considered as a skill, because you have to understand what it is. You have to align the map to the direction where you are traveling, and then to identify where you are, to identify where you have to get to, and then what is the best route to reach there. Right in the beginning, the map is given clearly. Without that identity to this dharmic life, by the logic given, anyway you have to give up all identities. That is after having reached. We become pseudo-intellectual, which aka also known as secular in mind. बेवकूफियों की हद होती है. Without that identity, where will you move forward? So now that this is given, how do I translate into my life? Identify honestly. Take a book, take a pen, sit down. Where exactly am I stated? Where am I being? Where is my identity? Without that identity, there will not be a direction. Where is my identity? Is that identity dharmic? Thought, word, and deed, is it aligned? Is it being distracted because of earlier habits and vasanas to the adharma? Though it is not stated, it is supposed to be implicit and understood. Because again, people use devil quoting scripture. Vasanas are of two types. I am not talking about the Suvasana and Durvasana. Vasanas are of two types. That is one classification. The other classification, those which are dharmic and those which are adharmic. Those which are called skill sets, talent, potential, you have to enhance it, fine tune it, and express diligently into the field of action, selflessly dedicated it to the highest altar. The second kind of vasanas, which are of negativities, they have not to be expressed. They have to be nipped at bud and deleted even before it takes an ugly form. Otherwise, people say, did not Swamiji in so many textbooks he has described that you have to express that vasana, and that is the way you can purgate that vasana. Otherwise, you are bottling it up. उसको मौका ही नहीं देना चाहिए. Nip it at bud. That is when the undistracted you can live in that dharmic. Where exactly am I in that? Where is my thought pattern rooted in? Is it in sattva? Is it in rajas? Or is it in tamas? What does that sattva, rajas, tamas mean? Am I being cluelessly selfish? Am I being a little liberally selfish? Or am I being selfless? Cluelessly selfish is the tamasic. Awarefully selfish is rajasic. Selfless, sattvic. Is it just an imagination of my mind that I am there, or am I putting the effort to constantly correct the course and be on that? See, the cars these days have autopilot. The flights these days have autopilot. That the pilot's job is, I think, only two or three things. Three things maybe. Efficiently to take off, efficiently to land, and if there is any turbulence and other things, takes the autopilot into action and stabilizes it. Rest of it, the course is set. And once the course is set, to the degree it is set, they can relax. But if you are going on a boat, you have to be constantly on the wheel. थोड़ा थोड़ा इधर किया, थोड़ा थोड़ा उधर किया, but the focal point is that where I have to reach. If you have ever gone boat riding in Gangaji, Rishikesh, Haridwar, or even in Kashi, the flow is coming from this side to this side. So before they start, they touch the water to see the speed of it. And if they have to reach exactly opposite, they aim for further down. So that with the flow and their speed, they eventually come to an average to that particular spot where they are aiming at. And to do that, there has to be constant course correction. How awarefully I am course correcting myself? To come to that point where it is automated and you are on an autopilot, Delhi बहुत दूर है. I have to constantly be vigilant about it. Therefore, knowing where exactly I am, what are the things that triggers me, what are the things that upsets me, what are the things that can agitate me. Can I be honestly nude with myself so that I can see myself clearly? If I keep hiding myself in all hypocritical standpoints, I will never be faithful to myself. And the one who is not faithful to himself can never be faithful to anything in the world. How honest am I? And once I recognize where exactly am I, सात्विक राजसिक तामसिक हो गया, शारीरिक मानसिक बौद्धिक, where am I? In my understanding of values, understanding of, they are also sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. The 16th and 17th chapter very clearly display that. Asuri sampatti, Daivi sampatti, even in that Daivi sampatti there is tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. Man, how diligently Bhagavan Krishna has portrayed there, saying that even sukha is sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Yattadagre vishamiva. That which appears very, very difficult, almost impossible. Pariname mrutopamam. Pariname amrutopamam. But the end result of it is long lasting and is amrutatulya. Such kind of sukha is sattvic sukha. That which, when you are conceiving it, as you are going through it, and the end of it, it only gives a fleeting moment of joy and misery all through, anxiety all through, then that is called tamasic. Shraddha is of three types. Dhriti is of three types. Fortitude. So the Shastra Vichara is not like Punya Phala. It's an honest self-evaluation, Swadhyaya. In that self-evaluation, where am I? So therefore, what should be the processes that I should invoke so that the course correction is constantly made and I am living this dharmic path? If that constant self-evaluation is not there, then there is no hope of spirituality. Therefore, these two mantras given, the 23rd and the 24th mantra, is to keep that course correction. If that self-awarefulness and again, another caution. Once I become aware of it, there will be a disgust about myself. Either you can take productive measures to constantly keep walking with faith in yourself, or else we keep beating ourselves down. I am good for nothing, I can't do anything, I don't know, I try to judge. Constantly self-negating, self-defeating. That also is not fruitful. Hopefully, I have given a good enough a map. Now, moving forward. 25th mantra. Yasya brahma cha kshatrancha ubhe bhavati odanaha और उभे भवत ओदनः मृत्युर्यस्योपसेचनम् क इत्थ वेद यत्र सः इति काठकोपनिषदि प्रथमे अध्याये द्वितीया वल्ली समाप्ता यस्य ब्रह्म च क्षत्रं च उभे भवत ओदनः मृत्युः यस्य उपसेचनं क इत्था वेद यत्र सः. The entire creation it cannot escape the satta of Satsvarupa. Everything in this creation exists because of that substratum, that which we may have taken for granted, or we are not even aware of it, and yet that is being the substratum. In order to take it for granted, we have to be first aware that there is something of that kind. So therefore, the idea that is being given that yasya brahma cha kshatran cha ube bhavata odanah, the entire creation is ordained, sustained, maintained, and merged unto that Ishvara alone. That even the best of this creation, the human, whether it is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, all of that becomes food. Therefore they say, Kalo Jagat Bhakshakaha. Kalaha is Jagat Bhakshakaha. Irrespective of who we are, what we do, Kala meaning time, it devours everything impartially. It does not sit and say, is that individual a sophisticated one, a sattvic one, a tamasic one? Whether rich or poor, man or woman, it just consumes everything. Even the best of us will be consumed. And all this is like Odanaha, the main course, the rice. Then Yamadharmaraja himself is saying about himself. Says, you may think that I am the Kala Swarupa who is devouring everything. Nahi Baba, to that actual Kala Swarupa, whose I am just a representative, for him, even me like is Upasechanam. Upasechanam, like side में अचार. खाते खाते कुछ थोड़ा सा फीका पड़ गया तो थोड़ा सा अचार मार लिया. खाते खाते the intensity of that taste, it was too sweet, थोड़ा सा बीच में अचार चख लिया. To change the palate. Even mrityu yasya upasechanam is just a mere palate changer. That who the entire creation is scared of, afraid of, I myself am scared of that Ishvara and his ways. Nobody can escape it. Even in Taittiriya Upanishad, the same concept is given. That all these deities, all these various gods and goddesses that are running this entire creation, we are on leash. We are on leash to maintain the equilibrium, and there is no scope for, oops, थोड़ा सा गलती हो गया ना. Sun has to do his job diligently, the Mrityu has to do his job, Vayu has to do his job. There is no moment of lapse. We are constantly in this vigilant mode. Why? Because that Ishvara is the one who is sustaining he is the very substratum, even for us. And that which is the substratum, if that substratum is not even identified, is not even recognized as the very common thread all across, how can a mortal who is lost in his own pitiful, vengeful, jealousy filled, hatred filled lifestyle ever have peace, let alone joy? Therefore, after listening, this is not to threaten us. It is to say how vigilantly, how awarefully every moment of our life we have to live. That no moment is taken for granted. And they say, now I have to not be awareful. Let me. There is no such moment. Committed to such conviction is when spiritual seeker walks, not otherwise. So, summing up the thought so far, what has been given, because after this we will be getting into the Tritiyavalli of the first Adhyaya, the third segment of the first chapter. Nachiketa goes, Yama gives him 3 boons. The first boon he asks for his parents, our first responsibility. Many people back in, when I was in US, their parents would be here and they are there, they have everything, but parents don't want to move. How do I take care of them? If your lifestyle, if your kind of condition in life allows you to go and be there with them, don't miss out on an opportunity in caring for them personally. That is our first responsibility. For whatever we are, it is our parents and ancestors that they have done what they have done for me to be in this position. Recognize it, to be thankful, and every opportunity get, serve them as you would serve Bhagwan. Very rare few are disposed in such a way that they can offer that, and that has not to be forgotten. That is the first responsibility. The second, what have I given to the society? See, the whole education system these days is like be in that 9 to 5 mode, and that too if it can be a sarkari. Even in sarkari, there is tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic in our own definition. Wherein sarkari, babu bano. Babu bano matlab not Chandrababu. IAS, IPS, sarkari afsar. With all the skill sets that you are endowed with, fine tune it in such a way that you become the solution of that society that which you belong to. What are you giving to the society? For the society and everybody in the society to find that upliftment. So that second boon done. Now the third boon that he asks with such clarity, Yama is also like, Beta, are you sure about it? थोड़े खिलौने ले लो. अच्छा, you are not, you look young but you are mature. वो भी ले लो. How about not not just these which anybody can get in the Bhuloka, those that which belong to the Svargaloka, take that also with you. Take long life, take all the wealth, all the things that which anybody can anticipate. This is a tough student, a prepared student. This is, don't entice me with all these things which don't have any validity. If you can give me, fulfill my third boon. Otherwise, keep that boon also with you. क्या confidence है? And to him, Bhagavan Yamadharmaraja lays down the path. Lays down the path wherein he gives Kramena, one after the other, the step of the initial seeker and the steps to be taken by that initial seeker. What is the first thing that he says? Do your upasana. Those who say Upanishad is the direct path, all the other things are not required, fooling you. Upanishad itself, in the very first step, what is it saying? Not just this Upanishad, several Upanishads. Just first, dedicatedly be involved, engaged in upasana. The entire Taittiriya Upanishad is various layers of upasanas given. Kaivalya Upanishad right in the beginning. When he goes to the teacher, what does the teacher say? He says, Shraddha Bhakti Yogad Avaihi. I think it is the only Upanishad where you find the word Bhakti, otherwise they use Upasana as a word. Dedicatedly spend your time in that Upasana. Because so many lives that we have lived as in the samsara with so many different formats of expression of life, our buddhi may not have that capacity, that strength, that fortitude. Build that fortitude. Upasana builds that. We keep saying willpower, right? Will to hai, desires to hai. Do we have the power to back it up? And one beautiful method is dedicatedly doing this upasana. In the very traditional format of taking to the path of sannyasa, when somebody comes to the field, to the guru and asks for sannyasa, one of the questions that is asked, have you finished your Gayatri mantra? There are 24 syllables in that Gayatri mantra. You have to at least do one rotation of 24 lakhs of that Gayatri mantra. I am trying to remember that particular Purascharana. Gayatri Purascharana. Have you finished? How strong is your Upasana Bala? Because the one who has that Upasana Bala has the Asana Siddhi, has the Prana Siddhi, wherein the Uchvasa Nishvasa is in balance. The mind is available, accessible. Now, to that mind which is accessible, focused, you can fine tune it. If that mind itself is all over the place, see, every day we do their arati, that arati has to remind us, tan, man, dhan, sab kuch hai tera. I am coming here to offer everything. I can offer if I have consolidated it and then brought it to you to be offered. If even while offering that mind is scattered all over the place, Bhagavan is only laughing at us. अबे पहले पकड़ तो ले, बाद में ऑफर करना. अब पकड़ में नहीं आया तो वो क्या ऑफर करोगे? I think either it is Kabir Das or Surdas. He says, मेरे पकड़ में तो आ नहीं रहा. But Bhagavan, I know to hold on to your feet. Now help me pakad that. That is called upasana. To such one who has brought that mind into the focal point and balance, where there is that sanctuary of peace within, when the Shravana begins, assisted by Manana Nididhyasana, then this becomes easy. So, therefore, reprioritize your life now moving forward. The rest of it will have to change. That priority has to change. And as you change, your outer environment of influences and distractions, they also change. There's so many that they sincerely want to apply, they come and say, Swamiji, my friends are changing. Those that I have lived with for this many years, not that they have completely been lost, but they are not the engagement these days. Why? Your trajectory has changed. They are still there. Friends will change, environment will change, influences will change. A sure sign that you are taking into this path steadfastly. To such a prepared one, then the internal journey is indicated. And that begins in this particular mantra of the Tritiya Valli, the first one. We'll just read it and see it tomorrow. Ritam pibantau, page 147. Sukrutasya loke गुहां प्रविष्टौ परमे परार्धे छाया तपौ ब्रह्मविदो वदन्ति पंचाग्नयो ये च त्रिनाचिकेताः. There is always this concept of these two always being there as the very core inside of every individual. And how are they? Chaya tapau iva. One is like the original and the other is like the shadow. And we are identified with the shadow and behave in this world as though that is my true identity. Identified with that chaya as my identity, then everything that which I do becomes a shadow business or a shady business. If my identity itself is wrong, anything done with that identity, how right can it be? That is taken up into discussion. We will see further tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Pratam